All right, good morning, Acadiana. Dave Schultz on the Schultzy Cast. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. A little bit of rain coming through. I guess we're going to get more rain, a little system in the Gulf. I'm out of here next Sunday, just for two weeks. Airplane tickets back to Central New York are a small fortune. I took the least amount, but the way they want to make you travel is late in the evening and then first thing in the morning. So, usually it'd be the other way around. I would leave first thing in the morning and get a half a day in Syracuse, right? Like if I leave at 6, I'm getting there before lunch. And then you leave at, after lunch. Well, who cares what time I get back? I don't have anything to do. But that's not what the affordable price tags were. So instead of 14 days away, it's more like 12. I'm leaving at like 6 p.m. next Sunday. I'm getting in at 1, literally. And then I have to leave at 6 on my birthday. Remember that, July 6th, Schultz's birthday, 55, double nickel. I'll be back early. But so I'm going up there for 2 weeks. Already planning on seeing a friend of mine in Rochester. That'll be fun. I got other childhood friends that still live there. And my nephew is coming in early so I can beat him in basketball. He should be up watching this. In fact, he's at work already for an hour at the Louisville golf course that he works at. So the Samo is going down in a little game of a one-on-one. All right. Although he can shoot the heck out of the ball. That's a problem for me. I cannot shoot. I probably couldn't shoot before. I certainly can't shoot now. All right. Plenty to discuss. And I forgot a couple of things. I did want to start with this. We did Locked on Sunbelt for the first time in a minute. And it's good to see Arkansas State investing in their baseball program because that helps everybody. They had an RPI of 218. That just kills you, right? Baseball is not meant to be swept. You are crushed if you win 2 out of 3 against Arkansas State. That's just a killer. I brought it up in the episode, back in the day when Mike Lateef was a softball coach. If there was a chance of bad weather on the road, he just canceled the whole series. I remember him canceling going to App State because the RPI was going to hurt him. Like winning was going to hurt him. Playing the games were going to hurt him. I don't remember that in baseball too much this year, but it doesn't help, And Mike Silva from Nichols, of all places, been to the NCAA tournament a couple of times, taken over at Arkansas State. They're going to invest in the assistant coaches. They're going to invest in the field. Like I couldn't find it last night, but I had the feeling that if they don't change the field up heading into the 25 season, there's an issue. And if the stadium structure doesn't get to be improved shortly thereafter, like he can walk away without a buyout. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but this was one of the interesting ones. Mike Silva kind of interviewing Arkansas State as much as Arkansas State was interviewing him. What is your commitment? If someone who kind of just went through that and thought my commitment was stronger than the people I was working for, it feels like Arkansas State wants to compete. Are they going to win a championship next year? Probably not. But we'll see if they're competitive, right? And then you look at the teams ahead of their schedule, and those teams are already wanting to compete, right? Marshall completed their stadium. They struggled this year, admittedly, on the field, so it may take a little bit for that, roster to reflect the investment. I will say this. They played 20 games. The Thundering Herd played 20 games against Quad 1 teams. They did not have a soft schedule. They were 1-19. Nobody else was close to that. Only a couple of teams in the conference had winning records. Troy had a winning record. Cajuns and Southern Miss weren't bad against Quad 1 teams, but they had slightly losing records. But no one played 20 games. So Marshall is investing. I think my guy John Hartwell up at ULM will have investment into the baseball program. And Georgia State announced their stadium project this season. So, and instead of maybe 3 or 4 teams getting in to the NCAA tournament, maybe you get 5 or 6 teams. There's no Pac-12 anymore. And so all of a sudden, the Sun Belt's got a good shot at being, the 4th best conference in America, maybe higher. Well, SEC, ACC, Big 12. So fourth best conference in America, ahead of the Big 10. Yeah. And so instead of 3 or 4, you're getting 4 or 5 or maybe 6, and you're getting a host deal. The RPIs are in place to where you're going to host. And some of these bad RPI teams aren't killing you, right? So good job by Arkansas State trying to invest in the baseball program, all tides raising boats or something like that. So that's in this case, that's true. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. No. LSU, again, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that I'm watching Mount St. Mary's. Stuff, but I think they got an ace from there. Now, again, got to be careful here. Let's see what we got here. I thought I saw this. Javon Coleman is going into the transfer portal. That's not great. But I thought I saw. Let's see. It's Koki Riley. Let's see what we got here. Well, they got Indiana State's Luke Hayden, 3.81 ERA in 78 innings last year. Spent a couple of seasons at Indiana. All right, so that's not bad. But I thought, here you go. LSU adds commitment from Mount St. Mary's right-hander Devin Sheeran. Sheeran had a 4.76 ERA in 18 appearances, struck out 109 batters in 7 innings. That's great. But, I mean, okay, those aren't, to me, the strikeout numbers are impressive, but everything else really isn't. Let's see here. Now maybe he's pitching. We'll see who's pitching against. He's actually from Mount St. Mary's. So he's actually from Reading, PA. So did he go all the way across the country? Is that where the Mount is? Let's see here. So he is just a freshman. He's not a small kid, 6'5", 245. So maybe he's got some potential. All right, so I had the wrong one. This Mount St. Mary's is northeast. He's got some interesting numbers here. Strikeouts to walks, 109 to 32. That's pretty good. He only gave up 49 hits in 70 innings pitched. So this would tell me he's got issues when he gets guys on base. Excuse me. That's what that would tell me. He has issues getting in and out of trouble, right? Maybe tired a little bit at the end of the season. He's got a 7-run game, a 5-run game, a 4-run game. At the end of the year, he's not pitching a whole lot. Maybe that was in the tournament. He gave up a couple of unearned runs and then 2 runs in 1 inning, 2 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Now, he certainly has interesting numbers. But when you're giving up, he gave up like 39 runs on 49 base hits. Something's not copacetic. And he's got 10 hit by pitches, 11 wild pitches. So there is the stuff may be better than what they can handle up there. So we'll see. Certainly has some potential, right? Could always say, I didn't know about Paul Skeens either coming out of Air Force, and he showed up here, and obviously he was all world. So we shall see if this guy's going to be able to put it together. Okay, I was going to say, how did he go from Reading, PA to across the country? But in this case, the Mount on their website is, where exactly is this? Let's see what we got here. Facts. Let's see here. Is this in Jersey or New York? No. Our staff. No. I don't know where it is. Men's sports. Basketball. You'd think I'd be able to find, They're playing, let's see what the conference is here. Marist, Niagara, Quinnipiac, Ryder. So this is Jersey and New York. Why can't I find where the school is? Is that difficult? It seems to be that difficult. 4 recruits. Facilities. Let's see that. Prospective students, athletes. No. Mount St. Mary's. About Mount St. Mary's. There we go. All right. 301 area code. Is this in Maryland? I don't know where it is. I don't know why I care about this that much, but I do. Emmitsburg, National Eucharist Pilgrimage comes to Emmitsburg. Is that where we are? Visit. There we go. Oh, no, that's the same thing. In-person visits. Yeah, I don't know. Summer visits. Friday, July 19th. Oh, here we go. Emmitsburg, Maryland. It is in Maryland. All right. I've never heard of Emmitsburg, Maryland. Let's say, I don't know where that is. Let's see here. Like, is it outside Baltimore or Eastern Shore or where? So that is barely in Maryland as it is. It is, it's a little bit off the beaten path, meaning it's not on a major highway, and it's basically on the Pennsylvania border. It feels like it's closer to Gettysburg than it is Baltimore. All right. Anyways, I don't know. I just interested in that. So the kid's got some potential, obviously, great strikeout to walk numbers, good hit to innings pitch numbers, but has a problem when guys get on base. He can't get out of it. That could be just being a freshman, So I saw the numbers. I saw where he was coming from, or more along the lines. I saw where he was coming from, and I was kind of hesitating. So now we're actually more impressed. Yeah, do a little research, and you can change your mind. I'm still also, leery of, making that jump to group of 5, in some cases, small group of 5 to the SEC, right? Yeah, the Wofford guys, I think the rotation, that's a rough spot. Maybe midweek. And some of those games are going to be tougher than what Wofford pitched this year. So we shall see. On a side note, did you guys see this? I didn't see it getting a lot of play in the LSU sports world. This is a little bit of a slow time for LSU. This is when a lot of them are preparing for high school, but you get a lot of time off. You got to take time off when you can, because it's really hard to take time off starting when camp starts. And, camp for LSU football is going to start here at the end of July. And you got to take off time now because, you're going to SEC Media Days in the middle of July. Some might cover the Sunbelt Media Day for a day. And so they got to take time off because camp is starting. And then, high school is right behind that. And we're off to the races. But Corey Diaz, and I'm a big fan of Corey Diaz. I think he's a sensational writer. And, he's had a little bit of an interesting career path, getting the South Carolina job, came back here to get the Cajuns job, and LSU women's hoops. And he fell into, Kim Mulkey, which increases his beat. Now he's doing LSU football, LSU baseball, and women's basketball. That's a heck of a beat. But he did a little research with federal, information acts and trying to find out what Kent Babb was going to write and didn't. What is that about? If Kent Babb couldn't verify some things and decided not to write about it, and then you write about the things that he couldn't verify and you couldn't verify it, what are we doing? That's a little weird. That's not sure what the point of that article was. If it was Corey's idea to write about it, it just seems odd. And again, I did not see any pushback from the LSU media, and there are a couple of people who would push back in the Baton Rouge media. So I found that an interesting article. I did read it. It's just kind of odd. Why are we covering what someone didn't write about? I don't think any of this is a big secret either. I kind of was. I mean, if I heard about it, then everybody else must have heard about it. That Angel Reese got into a fight with a teammate, and that's why she got suspended. Was that huge breaking news? Right? Whoops. What is that about? I can't get my running app to stop. I ran yesterday, and I can't get my running app to stop. Hashtag. All right.
Workout completed.
Workout
Time,
completed.
1 hour, 1 minute, 27 seconds. Distance, 2.
I ran about for 40 minutes yesterday.
23:46 per mile.
All right. Thank you. Siri. Okay. That was yesterday. I just lifted this morning. We'll go to Orange Theory later today. I don't understand the whole thing. I guess she called out her locker room at one point in time. Does that surprise anybody? I don't know. It's a very interesting story. And he did this with emails back and forth. Cody Worsham is in there. I'm not sure why he's writing about what Kent Babb did not write about. Like Kent Babb's article got all blown up. Maybe he backed off of some of the things that he could have wrote about, but he couldn't verify. And it was just a regular expose on Kim Mulkey. She's a little bit difficult. I don't think anybody would find that surprising, right? She plays favorites. Okay. She likes some of her players and doesn't like others. Happens to all of us. So I'm not sure, I think the Kent Babbs thing got blown out of proportion before it was written. And then it was a bunch of nothing as far as I thought everybody was concerned. Right. And I don't think we've heard about it. We haven't heard a lot from Kim lately because she's following her players in the WNBA, former players. But we haven't heard anything about it. And I'm not sure why Corey wrote that. If someone has a good explanation on that, it's up on the advertiser. I will also say this. He did not tweet it out the day it posted. Posted on a Saturday. He didn't tweet it out. And it wasn't even on his page for whatever reason on the Daily Advertiser. And then he did tweet it out, one of those in case you missed it deals yesterday. I didn't see if it was on his page. It's an interesting conversation on why you would write about what somebody else didn't. I mean, there's clickbait and then there's clickbait. That seems to be clickbait. That's exactly what that article is. No. All right. It is the Schultze cast. What do we got? Again, I have something coming up here at 8:00. And again, when all of this is settled, and hopefully it'll be rather sooner than later, I'll fill you in on everything that has gone down. So I got something coming up at 8. We're doing the Orange Theory at noon. Usually I couldn't do that. Should make my day off, but I put on a little bit of weight the last couple of days. Eating a bag of candy yesterday didn't help. So we'll see if we can lose a little bit of weight before we go home. Then the haircut, which actually the dude's looking pretty good post-shower. Also, a friend of mine does this secret shopper thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but it sounds interesting. I don't think you're making money on it. But this guy went to, he spent like $1,700 at the Hard Rock Casino Hotel, in South Florida. That's covered. God. Just send me to dinner or something like that. So a little bit of a day today. We'll see if that weather comes through. Trying to get a second run in. Probably not the wisest thing when you do the whole Orange Theory at noon, but just that extra 20 or 30 minutes, that's when I started losing the weight. That's when I got down to 208. And it doesn't have to be a hard one. Wearing my heavy sweatshirt is absolutely not necessary, almost too much, which is a little bit surprising me because I do like the sweating part of it, but it's difficult to run in that. All right, let's see what else is going on. We had another Angel Reese hard follow on Caitlin Clark. A little whining going on with that, although not from Caitlin Clark's point of view. Seems from Angel Reese's point of view. And we'll see if the fever. I looked at last year's standings. And the team who was the 8th seed was like 4 games under 500. Can the Fever, who are getting better, 15 games in, they're 5-10. Can they get to the playoffs? Like there are, what did I find out? 14 teams, 8 get to the playoffs. Now, if you're the 8th seed, you're going to play the Liberty or the Sun, and so you're going to lose fast. Or the Aces, I'm sorry. I guess it could be one of those 3 teams, the Aces, the Sun, or the Liberty. But you're going to lose fast, but still, I mean, that's what they're looking for. So again, another whole Angel Reese. We're being a little too physical with Caitlin Clark. And it is a thing. There's a thing going on. We're very careful to talk about it because is there a race thing? Is there a sexuality thing? Is there just a rookie thing? I don't know, but the whole thing is very fascinating, right? And that I don't necessarily think the WNBA should bow to Caitlin Clark, right? We can do a little, rookie razzing. That happens everywhere. But I don't know if have I ever seen this kind of disdain for a rookie. There's razzing and then there's dislike. And right now, it seems like the dislike is shining through. So I find that interesting. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get, features because this is where I could see the issue being. If you do a deep dive on Angel Reese and half the interview is about Caitlin Clark, she's going to be like, what are we doing here? Right? I mean, that's not fair. If you do a deep dive on Angel Reese and bring up Caitlin Clark, all right, or to others, what is going on? Someone's got to be doing that. I'm sure I'm not following it. Someone's got to be doing it. What is going on with Angel Reese? And I don't know if you can get somebody going. I don't think it's a, collective thing where they got together and say, we're going to do this, but someone out there knows that something's going on. All right. Like what, yeah, I don't know. I've never seen anybody try and kill the golden goose, right. Like, the reason that golf is where it is Tiger Woods. And there's a whole big different thing with Tiger now. Like Tiger was on the range with Justin Thomas when Justin was struggling. Like that's not a thing. That was never a thing back in the day. If Tiger saw you, like Tiger and Phil never talked on the course, like that wasn't a thing. He's playing in the U.S. Open, right? He played 2 rounds with Rocco Mediate, right? Where he came back to tie it up on the broken leg and then won on the broken leg, right? And Rocco won't shut up because that's Rocco. But, Tiger doesn't see him because Tiger doesn't see him as on the same level competitor, even in that moment. So Tiger, Rocco's going to bother Tiger and Tiger doesn't take it as seriously if it was Phil, because that's Rocco. But Tiger lifted all boats, right? I mean, that was the golden goose. I mean, whatever the, purses were in the mid 90s compared to the 2000s, these guys were all making a big buck, right? And now you got the Live Tour. They're making more. I'm not a big fan of the Live Tour. And boy, if the PGA Tour brought the Live Tour on because the players couldn't own their own social media rights, what are we doing? Talk about greed. What? Like Phil Mickelson couldn't do his own YouTube thing? Is that a deal? When he was with the PGA Tour? Come on. You're an independent contractor, right? If you want to own my stuff during your tournament, well, all right. But if anything I do outside of your tournament is on me. Like Bryson is trying to break 50 It's pretty cool. I think from the, that's the thing. And talk about a kid. We'll just go, straight into that. I think I saw, was it Johnson Wagner yesterday? Is that it? I mean, he was fantastic. Afterwards, making the same shot, and Bryson was there. And I don't know if Bryson's matured, if that's the right word, but I just think he's more comfortable with himself. And I also just think that he's just chilled out a little bit, right? And then people have started to accept him for what he's a little, not sure if strange is the right word, but he does things his own way. But he just, he bulked up so much, and then he took the weight off. Seems to be over the top in celebrating, but everybody liked that when Tiger Woods did it, so no big deal there. He did, I guess at point in times he was a little hard on himself, and they said yesterday he makes a point of now showing that he enjoys on the course, and yeah, he's enjoying it on the course. There are some guys, and I don't know everybody on the Live Tour, but boy, just Dustin Johnson's career has gone into the tank. He's like the number one player in the world, but he got paid, and now it doesn't matter, right? Like he may hang it up. There's rumors are that when his Live contract is up, he may be gone. And the point they're talking about when you're doing the Live Tour, it's not quite as intense. First of all, we all got our money. We're only playing 3 rounds, right? That's what the Champions Tour does. We're in shorts, which isn't the worst thing in the world, especially in the summer. But it's a different kind of competition, more like an exhibition compared to what we saw yesterday. Well, I don't like the Live. I think it is shady where they're getting their money from, but whatever. I'm certainly, in this case, not holding it against Bryson. He's one of the few, right? I mean, he was right there for the PGA Championship. I think he had a pretty good Masters, and now he's won the U.S. Open. So he has not allowed a Live to affect his competitive nature. And on the other side of things, I mean, Rory McIlroy just choked. I mean, he choked that away. He had a 2-stroke lead with 5 holes to go. It was 7-4, right? I mean, it was a 3-stroke lead, and they're talking about, how can you win this? And I'm thinking, well, first of all, he's going to have to come back to the pack, because if Bryson DeChambeau shoots, well, as we found out, par or better, he's going to win. They're not going to catch him. Like they're not shooting 5 or 6 under, as it wasn't going to happen. And so all Bryson had to do was shoot, in this case, a 70 or a 69, and they weren't going to catch him. Well, Rory caught him because Bryson was 1 over. I mean, McIlroy was 3 under with 5 to play and some birdie holes out there. And he just missed he choked on a couple of putts. I guess the pitch on 18, he was above the hole, and they said it at the time, outside of, being on the wrong side and a downhill putt, that's a pretty good shot, and it cost him. Whereas Bryson was, below the hole and, could make an uphill putt. And then Rory walked off, and that's, he's not a young kid. You go up there. I don't know if he has to go up and shake Bryson's hands. You could do that, right? That's, it is, these guys are all multi-millionaires, right? Like Rory's life, I don't think was going to change 1 iota if he won the U.S. Open. There could be some relief in his life. And obviously he was going through some things. He was getting a divorce, not getting a divorce, whatever's going on with that. But I'm not sure his life would change 1 iota. I don't even know how much Bryson's life is going to change now. I think his life had changed. And maybe that, maybe he loosened up because of the Live Tour. I don't know. Even Brooks Koepka, his, nemesis, he, congratulated him. Welcome to the 2-time U.S. Open champion, table. He's out there with Wagner on the, afterwards, and Wagner showing his shot and missed the first one, I guess, bladed it over the green. And then DeChambeau is there, And it's some good questions by Wagner, right? Did you think, because his first thing was, I'm gonna scold it into the clubhouse, and he's like, yeah, I didn't think that on the sand shot, because I'm gonna chunk it and I'm gonna blast it out of here. So if anything, I'm gonna be short. On the second shot, he's like, if I get this wrong, could roll through and go up against the clubhouse. So he admitted that. And then Johnson did it, and he gave him the trophy, which was hilarious. It was really good live TV, and Bryson it just seems like he's loosened up a little bit. Again, an enigma, that may be the better word for him, right? He's a little bit of an enigma, but he just seems to be having fun. That's so much of this, and Rory kind of stepping away. Did you? I mean, it was Scheffler. Either Friday or Saturday, like he didn't have a great round at all. And he went right into the Golf Channel. I don't know if he's supposed to do that. Or maybe it was NBC with Damon Hack. As the number one player in the world, I don't know if he's required to do that. Certainly if you're not in the leaderboard, you're not required to do that. But, Scheffler was, smiling, taking a picture, right? Still the number one player in the world. Maybe take a little time off. When's the Open? Excuse me. When's the Open Championship? That's next month, isn't it? Open Championship. It's exactly in a month. Oh no, that's the U.S. Open Championship. Royal Troon, sorry. It is exactly in a month. 14th through the 21st. Okay. Royal Troon. All right. So let's see what the PGA, because these guys have been going at it pretty good for the last few weeks. Let's see what the schedule is coming up. Let's see here. So this week is the Travelers. So that used to be the, Bubba Watson event where he'd always cry. He'd always go back. Yeah. Then you got the Rocket Mortgage, the John Deere Classic. So that's usually the one that people play to get in. I remember Jordan Spieth winning that and getting to the British Open. You do have the Scottish Open the week before that people actually now play just to get used to the conditions over there. All right. Rory actually won that last year. Well, so you got the Travelers, which is in Connecticut. We'll see how many of those guys get there. I guess we could look right now because they're going to take some time off. You got the Rocket Mortgage, which is in Detroit, so Ricky will be there. And the John Deere Classic, which is in, it says Silvis, Illinois. Was it? I always remember that at the in the Quad Cities. That may be. So let's see. Travelers. Let's see who's in it. All right. Well, is it Obert? He's playing. All right. Keegan Bradley was, I think, the defending champion. Sam Burns is going. He had a good tournament. Cantley is going, right? He played pretty well. He was right there. He actually had a shot to tie or to get to 5 under, and he missed the putt. And then Rory bogeyed, and now all of a sudden you're looking maybe at a 3-way. Corey Connors, all right, that's pretty good. I mean, they got a good Finau. Tony Finau is scheduled to play. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Ricky Fowler, Adam Hadwin. I mean, this has got a Brian Harmon in the Open Championship. Russell Henley, who had a good day yesterday. Max Homa. These guys, this is a pretty good field. Rory, isn't it? And that'll be interesting. Rory went home yesterday. Shane Lowry is in it. Colin Morikawa. This is a very good field. Matthew Pavon, who I didn't know who was until yesterday or this weekend. Schauffele's playing in it. Scheffler's playing in it. Spieth. I mean, Justin Thomas, he's got his issues. Thigala is playing. I mean, that's a pretty good field. That's a pretty good field. Well, all right, boy, we got 68 people watching. And I'm just rock and rolling. I do have to be off before 8 o'clock. The thing I do have coming up is at 8 o'clock. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see here. I do have to figure out, maybe just write it down. Let me see here. I noticed this. We started with NBC, a lot of Paris promotions. Is that going to overshadow NFL training camp? Because as a baseball guy, and I was a baseball guy before I moved to the South and became a football guy, that, like, and the NBA sort of takes over too, right? We may finish with the NBA tonight. Then you have the draft in about 10 days, 11 days, and then free agency is right after that. And of course, that's all backwards, right? We should have free agency before the draft, but whatever. Like that July, I guess it's right after the NBA free agency, whatever happens in those first few days. But from like the beginning of July, and then you get the All-Star break, and then you get it to the end, and you get about 3 weeks when there's only baseball. Maybe Wimbledon is in there and the Open Championship, but that's just on weekends. It's just only baseball. I kind of like that. But now we're going to see a lot of Olympics stuff. Again, the Olympics start at the end of July, and training camp is starting around the same time. So does college football training camps. But now the Olympics, I don't know if they're going to overshadow that. Basically, there's only baseball, golf, tennis, and auto racing going on in July. And again, the auto racing is 1 day out of the week, maybe 2, right? And I mean, I know there's qualifying and everything like that, but the race is just the 1 day. Again, maybe something early on in the weekend, but whereas baseball is every day, right? Tennis will be for 2 weeks. Golf is for 4 days. It'll be interesting to see on how we, the American public and the media, because we all love our football. So what are the big storylines? Is it really Dak? Like, the Saints have no storylines, right? Basically, the storyline this year for the NFL is if the Chiefs are going to three-peat. That's the entire storyline. There's no other storyline. And we have to wait until January or February to figure that one out. There's not the whole, is Josh Allen going to do it? What's Joe Burrow going to do? Harbaugh in Los Angeles. Can Deshaun Watson come back? Do the Eagles turn it around, or do they stay in their tailspin? What about Dak Prescott's contract? Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Can the Lions keep on doing it? I mean, there's a lot of sub-storylines, right? What about Brock Purdy? And, can Kyle Shanahan get out of his own way? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things to talk about for sure. But basically, the one storyline in the NFL, Trevor Lawrence with his new big contract, the one big storyline in the NFL is if the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. This is basically when Brady and company were doing it. The storyline is who's going to stop Tom Brady and the Patriots. And that's the storyline this year. All right. Now, it's a different storyline when it comes to college football, because the big bad wolf, is Alabama, is we don't think anymore. People are very highly rated on Ohio State. Michigan's got a whole team turned over. What's Jalen Milroe going to do? Is he going to take the next step? How does Kalen DeBoer do in his first go round as Alabama's head coach? People are high on Hugh Freeze. I'm waiting to see that right now. Michael W. Bratton with the SEC podcast thinks that Hugh Freeze is overrated. We'll see. In year 2, you go 7-6. I don't think that's really good. What's Alabama's schedule like? Alabama football schedule. I did, by the way, I did get a bottle of bourbon this week. Probably paid a little bit too much for it. But it was one that I wanted. I got an E.H. Taylor single barrel. And then that was at Rouse's. And then in new news, get an email that hits my junk mail Saturday at 9:30. They had a nice drop. They had a couple of bottles that I would have wanted. So, or at least the Jack 12. Yeah. Not that I need it, but I would have liked it. Anyways, so Alabama. Oh, and I've already seen some potential bottles I could get up north. We'll see. We shall see. So Alabama's schedule is okay. It starts with Western Kentucky. They're not going to lose that. They're not going to lose to USF. But could they lose to Wisconsin? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know anything about Wisconsin football right now. But I mean, sure, they just run the football and maybe pass it a little bit. That's going to be. Is that going to be a bump in the road? And then they have a week off before Georgia. I mean, we're going to find out pretty quickly. We're not going to have to find out. We're not going to have to wait until the end of the season to find out if Alabama's any good. We're going to find out quick. And then what is that? The third weekend in October with Tennessee? We'll see. I think there's questions for Tennessee. But we're going to find out about Alabama very quickly. Now, one loss isn't going to make the difference, but you start losing a couple, that'll be an issue. With the 12 teams, I happen to think it's wide open. We'll see what LSU does. What's LSU's schedule, right? They're starting with USC, so they can make a statement right away. Now, LSU hasn't done well in their openers as of recently, right? I mean, they got, Miles Brennan, they got embarrassed after Joe Burrow. Couldn't stop a lick, couldn't stop a thing in that ball game. That defense was brutal. They got embarrassed by UCLA. So I can't imagine them losing to USC, right? They get Nichols at home. We'll see about that South Carolina thing, all right? Are they going to lose to UCLA at home? They're not going to lose to South Alabama. I mean, LSU could start out 5-0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're getting USC in Vegas, Nichols. They're at South Carolina. Again, it's on the road and it's at noon. Then you get UCLA coming to town. I don't think that's going to be a thing. And you get South Alabama. How about that? That's a little storyline. Major Applewhite coming back to Baton Rouge to coach his college football team against LSU. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. Ole Miss is the first big game. That's October 12th. They don't have a week off, whereas Alabama does. So, I mean, that's where that season is going to turn, both for Ole Miss and LSU. It's not the end of the world if LSU loses that ball game, but if you go 6-0, I mean, and a win over Ole Miss, you're in really good shape. Let's check out Ole Miss's schedule. Let's see if they have anything. Let's see if they have a potential bump in the road to begin with. Playing Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake. That's on the road. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Georgia Southern, that's not going to be an issue. Kentucky, that's at home. It's at 11 a.m. Again, they should beat Kentucky at home, right? We don't know what Kentucky's going to be like this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They get South Carolina, just like LSU. They get South Carolina. And they don't have a week off either early on. Their week off is not until after the LSU game, and then they get Oklahoma. I mean, that's a little bit of a gauntlet right there. At South Carolina, at Baton Rouge, and home versus Oklahoma. And then you're at Arkansas. So 3 of 4 games. We don't know what Arkansas is going to be. Nobody's picking them to be pretty good. And then you got Georgia. It's kind of loaded on the back end for Ole Miss. So that'll be a big ball game for, the LSU game. And it's going to be disappointing if LSU's got more than one loss heading into that Ole Miss game. Again, I don't think LSU is going to be quite as good as they were last year. It's going to be really tough to repeat that offense. And, that's not an excuse. It's a reason when you replace 2 first-round wide receivers and a Heisman-winning quarterback. We saw what happened, although the offense was pretty good. Miles Brennan was probably better than I give him credit for. And, God, he was tough. Did he play with a pull abdominal muscle in a game that they should have won against Missouri? Anyway, so we'll see what happens with LSU. But the point of the first part of it was that there's a lot of sub storylines in pro football. The one is Kansas City, and we got to wait till the end to see that. Whereas in college football, we get a playoff, we get home playoff games. Again, my Orange are on the down low. If they beat, do they have Wake? They have an early ACC game too. Cuse football schedule. All right. Oh, they got Georgia Tech. All right. So that's in week 2, and they're hosting Stanford. They actually have an off week early. I don't really like that, but they're getting Ohio at home. They get Georgia Tech at home. They get Stanford at home. Holy Cross at home. They got to go out to Vegas to play UNLV. I mean, they should be 5-0 when they're going to NC State. And I don't know what NC State's going to be like. They're going to be 5. They should be 5-0 when they're going to NC State. They may not even be ranked in the top 25. But if they beat NC State, now all of a sudden they're 6-0, then you may have something going. They got one of the easiest schedules in America. They do not play Clemson or Florida State. They get Miami. And we'll see what Miami is by the end of the year. Who knows where Mario Cristobal and his crew is going to be like at the end of the year. I don't trust them at all. He's recruited extremely well. He has not coached them well at all. Big things are expected on Miami. That's the hardest game that Cuse has. Again, they were the softest schedule, right? They're at NC State. They're at Pittsburgh. They get Vatek at home. They're at BC. So they get 3 out of 4 on the road right in the middle there. They got to go out to California. So that's 4 out of 5. They finish with UConn and Miami. So there's potential for bumpness in the road. I'm one of those guys. Winning on the road in college football is hard. All right. I think winning on the road in particular is hard, but any win on the road in college sports is big. I'm a big believer in that. It doesn't matter what level you win on the road in college football. That's nice. That's why you get some road victories in baseball, and all of a sudden your RPI is going up. That's why what happened with the Cajuns, right? They swept Georgia Southern, and then all of a sudden, not only were they sort of secured for the Sun Belt Championship, but their RPI was solidly where they were going to be a number 2 seed. All right, anything else? I think that's about it. Oh, my Yankees can't seem to win when I am watching them. What is up with that? Right? Do they still have? They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, who basically stink. And I don't know the schedule standings. Like, do the Yankees? They were the first team to 50. How many wins do the Dodgers have? Dodgers have 44. Like, the Phillies have 47. And right in the middle there, like, the Phillies and the Yankees had the same amount of wins. The Yankees lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, which I think exposed them. But then they beat the Royals like 3 out of 4, although they blew the last game against the Royals. They only have a 1.5 game lead on the Orioles. And all of a sudden, I'm watching the Yankees on Saturday. They lose. Watch them yesterday. They lose. Garrett Cole's coming back. Be on the lookout for that. He's made some minor league rehab appearances. 2 where I used to work in Somerset, and then 1 with a friend I'm going to go see, Josh Wetzel, in Rochester. Like, they had 13,000 fans for a minor league baseball game because Garrett Cole was starting for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. I guess I was like, yeah. I said, boy, Scranton must hate that. Jersey got a couple of home games. They sold that out. And then he's going to pitch in Rochester. And he's like, well, I think he's going to do 1 more start for Scranton before he goes up to the bigs. I'm not sure if he needs more than that, but all right. And so he's coming back. So he's going to be in the Yankee rotation here sooner rather than later, right? If he just did this one he either pitched on Friday or Saturday in Rochester. So we're looking at Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday this week. And so he could be pitching in New York, in 2 weeks, in 10 days. or pitching for the Yankees in 10 days. So we'll see. They just did not get it done in Boston. Where's Boston, by the way? Boston's now 2 games over 500 because they beat the Yankees twice. Jeez. Not good. No. Oh, well. We'll see who the Yankees got coming up here. Although we can't watch. Oh, now we have a big series. Oh, they're playing tomorrow. Now they got a series against the Orioles. That's actually on TBS. We can watch that. Unless it's blacked out somewhere. Somehow. So now they got a 3-game series. I mean, they got some nice series coming up here. You got the Orioles. You got Atlanta. 2 of those 3 games are on TV. And then you get the Mets. All right, good stuff. All of a sudden, the Mets have turned things around, right? They get a fortunate win against Philadelphia, make a really good play, and all of a sudden they've won a bunch. All right, maybe the Mets can turn things around. We shall see. The Phillies are really good. Okay, let me get ready for my whatever I have going on coming up. 82 is pretty good. We've gone a little bit longer today. Who knew I could just ramble on? Please, subscribe over on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Just look up Schultze Cast. You can see how to spell it there. Also, Locked On Sunbelt. Oddly enough, I hadn't done any episodes after I came back from where I was. And lo and behold, I had more subscribers. So, hopefully by the end of the month, we're at 1,300. The goal for Locked On Sunbelt is to be 1,500 by opening day. And so I need about 100. I need about 25 a week. That's not a lot. Is that a lot? Well, it's kind of getting like 40 a month. But if I can get 35 more this month, then I need 100 a month in July and July and August. So, and hopefully we'll have some special guests. Phil Steele's book is coming out, and he joined us last year, so that was great. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and everyone have a great day. Again, when everything that I'm doing is settled, I will explain everything that's going on, basically job-wise. All right, so we have a couple of things in radio, one here locally still, and then we have one thing completely outside of the industry. So it'll be a fascinating opportunity. We'll see if that's a potential. We'll find that out in about 12 minutes. So again, thank you so much for tuning into the Schultze Cast. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.